Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. We're talking about the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cosmos palette. This is a new makeup release as of it's not even a week old makeup release. This is new to Anastasia Beverly Hills. And we're going to be doing a review, first impression of this, and some palette comparisons, so stay tuned. So the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cosmos palette is an all-in-one galaxy-inspired eyeshadow palette for instant on-the-go to ultra-glam looks. The Anastasia Cosmos palette features 12 pigmented eyeshadows from neutral to turquoise tones in matte and in intensely reflective metallic finishes. It has full pigment, easy to blend eyeshadows that deliver high color payoff and buildable intensity. It is cruelty-free, free of phthalates, mineral oil, alcohol, talc, sulfate, parabens, and oils. So we have Super Cluster, which is a duochrome bluish green with multi-dimensional sparkle. Sun, which is a duochrome pink to bronze. Orion, it's a metallic icy pink with gold sparkle. Mercury, which is a metallic titanium with sparkle reflex. Quasar, which is a duochrome green gold with multi-dimensional sparkle. Galaxy, a matte deep blue with bluish green sparkle. Lots of micro glitter in this last shade. In Galaxy, lots of micro glitter. You can definitely see it when you swatch it as well. Space Dust, which is a matte sandstone. Comet, which is a matte toasted peach. Eclipse, which is a matte muted plum. Supernova, which is a duochrome pink lilac with multi-dimensional sparkle. Mars, which is a matte rusty brown. And Dark Matter, which is a matte black velvet. 12 shades. Lots of duochromes, absolutely stunning. So let's get into how I got this eyeshadow look, and then we will look at swatches and palette comparisons so you guys can take a look and see if you already have some of these palettes in your collection. All right, so we're going to use the Transluce Beauty eyeshadow primer. This is brand new to the brand, but I wanted to try it today. It's just their eyelid primer, and I believe it came in like 3 different shades. I got the shade Light because I'm pale to pale. So the packaging looks like a concealer, but it's a eyelid primer. I love the yellow top, and that is a huge doe foot applicator. So we'll put this on and see if it helps with the longevity of the eyeshadow today. Because we're using like duochromes and multichromes, that's why I wanted to use it today. So I'm going to use my finger to smooth this out. I did my hot girl summer makeup. If you guys want to see a tutorial for hot girl summer makeup, leave me a comment down below. But it basically just gives you this like lit from within, just been at the beach glow, and it's really easy. It's under like 5 minutes to do this makeup. So if you guys want to see that, leave me a comment, and let's do a look with this palette. It doesn't have any cool tones in here, so I feel so limited on it, but we're going to use Space Dust, which is the shade right here. And the lids are tacky, but they don't feel oily, which is good. Space Dust is going on the lid. And we're using a Singe Beauty EO3. I mean, it's going on really nice. Then I'm going to take Dark Matter, which is the shade over here. We're going to smoke it out on like the outer corner. This is like a purpley black shade. Just very, very lightly smoke it out. Okay, I'm finding this shade like really hard to blend, and I'm wondering if it is the primer. It's not blending very well at all, so we're just gonna set aside my brush for a moment, and we're gonna pick up Comet, which is this shade right here. It's like a brick, it's like a salmon-y color, and I'm using an E24 from Sigma. I'm gonna use this, and I'm going to dust over the Dark Matter shade only because I'm hoping it'll kind of blend it all together and then give it kind of like a burnt blackish red look. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Now we're going to use some of the like duochrome, multi-chrome shades. I'm going to use Supernova, which is the shade right here, and putting it on an EO1 from Singe Beauty. This one right here. I'm going to wet this down just so we can pick up the pigment. Oh, that's pretty. It's like an iridescent-y, like pinky purple. I'm going to switch. We're using my Sigma switch, and I'm going to switch up my color. I'm going to wet down my brush again. And we're going to use this shade. We're going to use Sun, which is the shade right here. I'm going to put this right in the middle of the lid. And we're going to blend it in with Supernova. It feels very summery today. And then I'm going to use my switch again. Just clean off my brush real quick. We're going to use Space Dust on the under eyes. What I'm going to do is take this brush, the EO5, and start shading the under eyes just in the corner to like marry everything together. And then we're going to use an EO4 to do shading on the rest of my under eye with Space Dust. We're going to clean up the eyes a little bit, so I'm going to take a damp beauty blender and just kind of tap away some of the pigment that where it got. What it should do is like pull up some of the pigment, but I've noticed it doesn't really mess with the foundation underneath at all. I'm going to put on some mascara, and then we'll be right back to take a look at this look. Okay, here is the completed eyeshadow look with the ABH Cosmos palette. This is the brand new palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So let's go into a full review of this palette, look at comparisons between some other palettes. And if you guys want to see a full like swatch video, like what I did with the Natasha Denona Yucca palette, leave me a comment down below. So let's look at some comparisons of this palette versus some ABH palettes that have come out recently, as well as some other like duochrome, multi-chrome type of palettes. So let's take a look at the Cosmos palette versus this is a What's Up Beauty Geodes palette, and as you can see, the color stories are very, very, very similar. What's Up Beauty is an independently owned brand. I can't remember how much this palette costs. So editing Stacy's going to have to put in the price of the palette for you. It's a 12 shade eyeshadow palette, so it is the same amount of shades as the ABH Cosmos palette. However, the pan sizes are smaller, but I really feel like the shades, they do a lot more justice. Like the duochromes are absolutely stunning on the eye, and they are way more pigmented. This also comes with like a pop of yellow, and it also comes with a pop of green. And there are more cool tone neutrals in this one than warm leaning neutrals, which I like as well, and it is easier to work with. This is the Geodes palette from What's Up Beauty. I also have from What's Up Beauty, this is the Desert Monsoon palette. It is again a 12 shade eyeshadow palette. A lot of the shades are very similar in between this one as well. This one just has a more like grungy feel. Some of my favorite shades are like Succulent, Desert Rose. But between the two palettes, like you can get a lot more looks with both of them. The Desert Monsoon, it does have some warm tones in here, but it does have a lot of cool tones in here as well, and I find it's really easy to work with. Another palette that I have heard referenced a lot when it comes to the ABH Cosmos palette has been the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. And this Huda Beauty palette has like some cooler tones in here. Definitely, it has some warm tones as well, but it's definitely more pink leaning, whereas the ABH one, it does have those like warmer browns in it, and it does have that pop of blue. But you do have some very similar shades as well from this one. Like, I've also heard that the Cosmos is very, very similar to the Nouveau palette, and in person, looking at this, there are some shades that really do look reminiscent of each other, like Space Dust and Fleur are very, very similar. Mars and Metro. Mars is a little bit darker, but actually Metro looks more like Comet. So there are some similar shades in this one. But again, the Nouveau palette does not have the duochromes that you would expect. Obviously, I mean, it is not a duochrome palette. It does some beautiful like foils in here though. So we have here the Rose Metals palette. This is the palette release right before the ABH Cosmos palette. This came out like right around the holidays. I want to say maybe right before. And you can see there are some shades again that look very similar. Like we have Dune, this shade right here, which is really close to Mars. And I mean, overall, there's some similarities, but there's quite a bit of differences as well. I feel like Rose Metals is that grungy 90s, like smoky eye, whereas Cosmos is very much kind of all over the board with some of these duochrome shades. Okay, so for some of these eyeshadow palettes, they're very, very, very comparable, and I'm going to put up a swatches video. Sorry, my hair is like all over the place. Like Medusa just has a mind of her own today because it's rainy and humid outside, and Medusa's like, let's just invade your space today. So Medusa's going up for a minute. Medusa, my hair. So a lot of these eyeshadow palettes look really, really similar. Stay tuned for a swatch video on my channel, and I can't wait to see what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below about this Cosmos palette. Thanks guys so much for watching. I hope you consider subscribing to my channel so you can see that swatch video, and I hope I get to see you again. Bye!